Hi, I'm Toro, and this is the World in Series. Each episode in this series is a quiet journey through time, softly exploring the people, places, and events that shaped a single year in our shared history. So get comfortable, let your thoughts wander, and let's drift back to the world as it was. The world in 1912. Hello, dear dreamer, and welcome to Toro's History Lullabies. Tonight, let your mind drift gently back through the folds of time to the quiet, turning pages of history, to a year long past where lanterns still flickered in gaslit streets, and letters took days to travel from one hand to another. The year is 1912, a year of quiet elegance and slow discovery, a year where cobblestones echoed beneath horse-drawn carriages, and gramophones whispered music into velvet-draped rooms. As you settle into bed with the hush of night all around you, let us drift together into this world of gentle sepia tones, where history flows like a stream, calm and unhurried. Close your eyes, take a breath, and step softly with me into the year 1912. World events. In 1912, the world turned slowly. The days moved with the rhythms of horse hooves and ticking pocket watches, while behind it all, quiet currents of change were stirring. In China, a centuries-old era came to its close. After over 2,000 years of imperial rule, the Qing dynasty quietly faded into the past. In its place, a new republic emerged, like a gentle sunrise after a long and ancient night. Sun Yat-sen became the first provisional president of the Republic of China. As the country took its first careful steps toward modern governance, the echoes of dynasties lingered, but the winds of change now rustled the banners of tradition. Across the Atlantic, in Washington, D.C., the United States welcomed a new leader. In a peaceful transition, Woodrow Wilson was elected president, though he would not take office until the following spring. The election was spirited but gentle in its time, a contest of words and ideas rather than fury. Meanwhile, former President Theodore Roosevelt, ever the restless reformer, returned with his new Progressive Party, nicknamed the Bull Moose, a curious political creature of the day. Far to the north, in Norway, a silent and solitary triumph stirred the world's imagination. Explorer Roald Amundsen, having reached the South Pole just weeks before the year began, returned with tales of snow, ice, and haunting white silence. The world listened in awe to stories of cold and courage, of flags planted in frozen winds, where no life stirred and time seemed suspended. In the Balkans, quiet tensions brewed beneath the surface. Though no war had yet begun, whispers and movements hinted at uneasy times to come. But in 1912, it was mostly still just murmurs, the kind that stirred gently in the distance, like leaves before a storm. And far above the earth, in places where only birds had flown, men in strange winged contraptions were beginning to lift from the ground. The first parachute jump from an airplane took place this year, a quiet fall through the sky, part bravery, part poetry, part future. And yet, perhaps the event most remembered from this year was not one of policy or progress, but of quiet tragedy at sea. In the cool month of April, a grand ship set sail, the Titanic, called unsinkable by the papers and praised as a floating palace. On calm waters she sailed until she did not. Though history holds the weight of that moment, tonight we hold it with softness, remembering not the loss, but the love, the bravery, and the stillness of an ocean moon. And so, the world of 1912 moved onward, slowly, solemnly, beautifully. Daily life around the world. Life in 1912 moved with a different rhythm. Slower, softer, measured in letters, footsteps, and the flicker of evening lamps. In Paris, the morning air carried the scent of fresh baguettes and coal smoke. Women in long, sweeping skirts strolled past cafe windows, their hats adorned with feathers and lace. Men read newspapers at marble tables, sipping coffee slowly, letting the day unfold. In homes, the ticking of mantel clocks mingled with the hush of voices, and children played with wooden toys beneath high ceilings and curtain light. Across the sea, in New York City, the streets buzzed with newness. Horse-drawn carriages still clattered beside electric streetcars, and buildings reached ever higher into the sky. Immigrant families unpacked dreams onto tenement floors, sharing laughter, bread, and languages from every corner of the world. Icemen delivered great blocks to kitchen pantries, and neighbors leaned from windows to call greetings down to the streets. In Japan, the Meiji era had recently ended, and the country balanced delicately between tradition and modernity. In the countryside, rice fields shimmered beneath summer rains, and fishermen cast their nets in quiet harmony with the tides. In cities, women wore both kimono and tailor blouses, and young students studied mathematics under hanging oil lamps. Further south, in India, evenings brought gentle breezes through open courtyards. Saris flowed like waterfalls of color, and the aroma of spices drifted from kitchen hearths. School children recited poetry in shaded schoolyards, and elders told stories beneath banyan trees. The same tales passed from voice to voice for centuries. In homes across the globe, daily rituals anchored life. Fireplaces were cleaned, boots were polished, letters were written with care. There were no smartphones to check, just quiet conversations, quiet prayers, and quiet pauses. Nightfall came early in many places. Gas lamps hissed softly to life. Families gathered by radio or gramophone, if they had one, or simply read aloud by candlelight. The world in 1912 slept early and deeply. Science, inventions, and technology. In the hush of laboratories and quiet corners of workshops, in 1912, small wonders were unfolding. This was a year when science tiptoed forward, not with grand pronouncements, but with quiet discovery. One of the most profound steps came from a man named Alfred Wegener, who proposed a new and curious idea: that continents might slowly drift across the Earth, like silent rafts upon a vast and ancient sea. Though not accepted at the time, his vision of continental drift would later reshape how we see the world. Elsewhere, a silent revolution was humming in homes and factories. Electricity continued to spread, like lightning tamed for comfort. Electric irons replaced hot coals. Small motors spun fans in summer windows. Light bulbs glowed like tame stars in ceiling fixtures. No longer gas, but electric, clean and golden. In transportation, the automobile became less of a luxury and more of a curiosity turned reality. Henry Ford's Model T, now in its fourth year, was rolling off assembly lines in Detroit with rhythmic precision. What once took days to build now took hours, and more families began to dream of owning one. In the skies, pilots danced gently above the fields. Airplanes, still made of canvas and wood, rose and floated in the summer air, buzzing like dragonflies. These early aviators were like poets of the wind, each flight a stanza in a new language. And in medicine, slow but vital progress continued. Doctors refined tools, studied anatomy with deeper care, and antiseptics became more common, protecting life in ways unseen but profound. Though invisible to many, 1912 was a year of gentle, unfolding science. The world, ever so softly, was changing. Culture and the arts. As the world turned gently in 1912, so too did the world of art, music, and literature bloom quietly across continents. In Vienna, notes from a piano drifted through candlelit salons. Composers like Arnold Schoenberg were exploring bold, new harmonies. Their music less about melody and more about mood, like shadows dancing in a dream. It was the early echo of modernism, a gentle unmooring from tradition. It's still wrapped in velvet tones and slow rhythms. In the theaters of London and Paris, elegance remained the muse. Feathered hats and evening gloves were seen beneath the glow of gaslight stages, as plays by George Bernard Shaw and Jean Giraudoux stirred minds and hearts. People came not just to be entertained, but to reflect softly on the world they lived in. Meanwhile, on quiet writing desks in New York and Moscow, great works were finding shape. James Joyce published Dubliners, a gentle mosaic of Irish life. Small moments, rendered with aching beauty. In Russia, Anna Akhmatova was penning poems so delicate, they fell upon the reader like snowfall. Visual art danced in many directions. The Blue Rider movement took hold in Germany, led by Vasily Kandinsky, who believed that colors had voices and shapes held emotion. His paintings, abstract and alive, were like lullabies without words. In Paris, Pablo Picasso painted in muted browns and grays, his figures reassembled like fragments of memory. Though bold, there was something quiet in his cubism, a way of seeing the world not as it was, but as it was felt. And in cinemas, the young and flickering new form, black and white reels played across white screens. In theaters across America and Europe, audiences watched short silent films with wide eyes and soft laughter, accompanied by the gentle playing of a piano in the corner of the room. There were no voices, only expressions, and in that silence, a new kind of storytelling was being born. Music boxes chimed in parlors. Children sang nursery rhymes on cobbled streets, and the arts in 1912 whispered softly to the soul. Media and headlines. In 1912, the world read the news slowly, not in real time, but in the rhythm of print and ink. Newspapers were everywhere, folded under arms, tucked into briefcases, sold from corner stand by young boys with paper caps. The New York Times, the Times of London, Le Figaro in Paris, each offered pages filled with telegrams, dispatches, and gentle advertisements. Front pages reported on elections, steamships, and quiet diplomacy. While inside, readers found serialized stories, poetry, and recipes. A loaf of bread might cost 5 cents. A lady's hat, $2. Advertisements offered corsets, liniment oils, and silent vacuum cleaners, promising a cleaner, more elegant life. In homes with radios, voices crackled through the air, announcing ball scores or the weather forecast. Though the radio was still a novelty, a soft curiosity humming in a sitting room corner. Most people, however, still got their news from paper and word of mouth, from markets, from neighbors, from the slow telling of stories passed hand to hand. The media of 1912 moved gently. No rus, no flav, only the slow turning of pages and the hush of morning tea. People born and died. As the world breathed in 1912, new souls entered the world, and some old, beloved lights gently faded. Born this year was a man who would one day float among stars. Wernher von Braun, whose dreams of rockets would shape journeys to the moon. Also born was Alan Turing, a quiet boy from England who would go on to unravel deep mysteries of logic and language. A mind both brilliant and gentle, destined to change the future in ways few could imagine. From the world of music came Lightnin' Hopkins, born in Texas with music already in his bones. His blues would echo long after he was gone. And from the earth, others took their leave. Clara Barton, founder of the American Red Cross, passed on this year at the age of 90. She had spent her life in service, bringing comfort where there was pain. A nurse, a teacher, a tender light in hard times. Also departing was Wilbur Wright, who, with his brother Orville, had lifted humanity into flight, though his final years were quiet. His legacy would echo through every sky thereafter. Like seasons passing, the births and farewells of 1912 wove gently into the story of time. And so, as the months unfolded and 1912 came softly to its close, the world exhaled another year. Winter fell on rooftops and railway tracks. Snow dusted the shoulders of statues, and chimneys breathed ribbons of smoke into the gray December sky. In parlors and cottages, people warmed their hands by firelight, sipped broth, and wrote postcards to loved ones far away. There was stillness in the air, the quiet kind of stillness that comes when a year has said all it can say. In China, the Republic settled into its early, fragile form. In Europe, the notes of a waltz carried across cold, wide avenues. In small towns across America, shopkeepers swept their thresholds and trimmed evergreens for the holidays. The sky above remained unchanged, stars fixed in the same old constellations. But beneath them, the world was changing, softly, subtly, step by step. The old world and the new still walked side by side in 1912. Horse carts passed early motor cars. Kimonos brushed against wool suits. Handwritten letters traveled alongside telegraph wires. It was a year of endings, of beginnings, and of moments in between. And as clocks struck midnight on the final day, somewhere a gramophone played a lullaby, and a child was born who would someday shape the world. The year 1913 waited just beyond the horizon, its pages blank, its footsteps quiet. But for now, we rest, cradled in the calm of history's gentle embrace. Thank you for journeying with me, dear listener, through the peaceful, drifting world of 1912. If this story helped you find rest, please consider liking and subscribing to Toro's History Lullabies, where every bedtime brings a new window into the past. Until we meet again, sleep deeply, dream sweetly, and remember, history is always humming, just beneath the silence. Good night.